Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins. In this video I will talk to you on how I would like you to approach the specific holes. Obviously you don't have to do exactly what I'm saying, but there is a plan with the things that I'm talking about. Make sure to check out the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. If you do enjoy the free content here on the channel, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that do want to take that little extra step, look for our premium guides. The premium guides can only be found on patreon.com/golf-tommy. You have the link in the description down below, or you can scan the QR code. You don't have to be a top tier player to benefit from using guides in this game. We do have guides that ranges from all type of players, and for those that are, generally winging it, and for those that are extremely detailed. We take a lot of pride in helping thousands of players every single season in Golf Clash. So sign up and try for yourself how we will help you improve and have more fun with the game of Golf Clash. Now let's go to hole number 1. For hole number 1, we do advise to play with the big topper if you have that possibility. If you do not have that possibility, use the driver with the most topspin after that. Why? It's because we do want to reach as far down the fairway possible to give ourselves a chance with our short iron. Maximum distance plus 10 is what we're using. I'm using a power 3 ball in headwind, in crosswind or tailwind. We do not really need to play with a power 3 ball, as again, we won't be adjusting into max club. Nicely down the fairway, and then from there we do have a short iron towards the pin. Now, look at this very high bounce. There is a big difference of landing with your first bounce on the green or landing with your first bounce before the green. Landing before the green will give you a very high second bounce, and then you need a lot of elevation. If you're landing on green, then you don't really need a lot of elevation, as the second bounce will then not be as big. And that's something that is important to have in mind. So this shot in particular, I played it 20% elevation through distance. Make sure to hit perfect, otherwise you're gonna miss like I did there. On hole number 2, this is going to be a rough bump in my opinion. You can play here with your sniper, or you can choose to play with your long iron. With your long iron you need to play with a power 2 ball minimum. With your sniper you're playing with a power 0 ball or a power 1 ball when it comes to crosswind and headwind, and then power 0 ball in tailwind. I like the sniper due to its accuracy, because playing with a Goliath has a pretty poor accuracy. There's a risk of missing the rough if you do hit greats, whereof here with the sniper we do have a great accuracy, and even if we do hit a great ball, we will not see ourselves missing the rough. Minus 10% elevation. This particular shot I play minimum distance minus 10%. However, that will obviously change depending on what type of wind direction you have. And also what spins that you are using. But in this particular video I'm using minimum distance minus 10% elevation. Well, hole number 3 is probably one of my favorite par 5s there is in the game, and the reason for that is the massive funnel we do have on the second shot. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna use all the top spin that we have on the extra mile level 5, which is 4.5 top spin, and using 3 right spin. Adjust with our extra mile is max plus 10. The goal here now is to have a controlled drive to end up more to the right side of the fairway than to the left, because the more left, the less inclined we will be to be in the correct spot. So we're getting it up there nicely, and now from the 325 yard mark we're going to have a sniper. And now look to what I'm doing here. I'm putting my target with the red ring by the edge of the rough line. I'm adding the spins, and look now, I can move 1 or 2 rings left or right, and the ball guideline is still stuck at the same place. And that is a good funnel, which means that you have room for error, where you can hit in some cases even a great, and it will still go in. So it's all about finding that sticky spot which will come to the tough part, which is that the spins will most likely vary. No elevation on the second shot, just true distance, and then try to hit perfect. And the ball here now will bounce on in the rough. You can see here it rolls down and onto the green. It looks like it's going to stop short, but it's not because it's downhill on the green. And we're getting to drop hard on the right hand side. I mean, it doesn't really matter how it drops, but the important part there is to really focus on that funnel. There are so many players, especially when when you might not be that when you might be new of the Yamil Dunes and the Dreaded Dunes, then you might not know that spot. But by knowing how to play this hole could give you just a simple albatross where your opponents will struggle even making the eagle. Hole number 1, which is with the tournament win for the qualifying round. I'm using a power 3 ball and the driver that gives me the most power possible, because now we're gonna utilize the tailwind and we're going to get ourselves as close to the green possible. Adjust max plus a 10 power 3. I'm not pushing up to max here because it's not needed, so I rather than take a slightly slower needle with my with max OP. 2 left spin, 4.5 bar top spin, and we're getting the ball down past the 2 bunkers, and now we have an open shot towards the pin for an eagle. Obviously, if you do have headwind or crosswind further down in the tournament, then you will have to lay up shorter, and then it's going to be a short iron towards the pin. On the second shot, it's going to be a wedge. Unfortunately, we can't really play with a short iron here. So what you're going to have to do is that you're going to have to estimate your club distance. If you do have a wedge with a good ball guideline, that's most definitely an advantage for you. Because having a crappy ball guideline here is going to have you to make a big guess on where you're going to have to position yourself. Now, I'm playing this one max plus 20. So I would strongly recommend that if you do have a distance that is close to max line before the pin starts, plus 20 definitely work, but I'm not ruling out that you might need some tweaks for that. When it comes to the short iron, if you're going to have to lay up, then you play 10% elevation instead. Hole number 2. I'm not fan on bouncing on the fairway, so I'm gonna go for a rough bump. It may look aggressive, but there is room to hit great left and also great right. I'm gonna use a 3 right spin, I'm gonna use 1 back spin and get the ball guideline to hole. I use the left side rough every time I do have a wind coming left to right, because otherwise I'm going to have to play very close to the rough line if using the rough bump on the right. But if it would be a straight wind, or if it would be a wind coming right to left, I would be using the rough bump on the right instead. Now, for the adjustment, I'm playing 1-to-1 minus 0.4. So here I'm adjusting 1.8 rings with my sniper level 7. Send to the ball and hit perfect, and you will see yourself having a very good chance of getting a drop here on hole number 2. Bounce into the rough, and we're going dead nuts for an hole-in-one. The drive, we're going to play on the right side, and the reason for that is that I want to position ourselves for a rough bump on the second shot. 4.5 bar top spin, 1 left spin, ball guideline to go straight down the fairway. Adjustment is max plus 10, and then I will be applying 3 rings of overpower, because I do want to push the ball further down than what it would otherwise would be if I would be just be using the overpower I adjust into. So bounce on the fairway. Now we're getting very close to the rough line, or at least closer than what I want. So maybe move a little bit more left, but it's in the end it's safe at 370 yards. Second shot on hole number 3. I'm gonna go for a rough bump. I do believe that is the best way to go for a drop here. Unfortunately, I make a mess of the adjustment and I'm adjusting too little. I'm still safe though, in the sense of that I'm getting the ball close, but it's not really what I want to. I expect myself to do a little bit better than what I do here on the screen. I'm adjusting 2.2 rings. which is a little bit too little. We should have adjusted like 2.5. Ball guideline through the hole as it is headwind, and the ball guideline will be compressed. Bounce into the rough, and it rolls up. You can see here that we need a little bit more adjustment, or we will be falling short like that. So hole 3 is a good chance in my opinion, but it's not gonna be a gimme. Hole number 4, this is a difficult one, I would say, if you do not have the possibility to go for a rough bump, which you only can if you do have enough topspin on your long iron. But the fact is that playing with a long iron here with a lot of topspin is gonna be named Goliath, and Goliath has a pretty bad accuracy, and then a great left will be in the bunker. So what I decided to do is to bounce on the fairway. We're using, in the video, I'm playing max plus a 35% elevation, but we should have played max plus 20, which is therefore I'm suggesting that in the info box. Using a Marlin ball, you can use a navigator ball or another ball that you reduce the wind even more if you would like that, but I don't see the point in using any other ball, especially when the wind is still below 5 miles per hour. Close miss, but this one is, again, if you're playing the rough bump, you do have a great possibility for a drop always, in my opinion. But once you do play a bounce up like this, it's going to be a lot more difficult. For hole number 5, those of you that do have the possibility to play with a power 5 ball and a big boy club, I mean, Extra Mile 5 is not a big boy club, but just for the sake of the example, you can see that I'm using the 4.5 topspin that I'm having on Extra Mile, and I'm aiming at the center of the fairway, max overpower, trying to hit perfect. The goal here is obviously to get close to green, or as close as possible. We won't get closer than this if we're having 4.5 topspin and playing into a headwind, but you could see the situation. If you do have a tailwind or even a crosswind, then you will reach further up. You might have 6 bars of topspin to be used as for Extra Mile level 8 or low level Thor's hammer. Then you will also be closer to the hole. Max no elevation on the drive, and again, I truly recommend that you're pushing it to get yourself a chance to get or be by the green. Now, second shot is a wedge. It's an EB school in my opinion. So make sure to pack the wedge that gives you the best accuracy and most importantly the best ball guideline, because the ball guideline will be super helpful to make you determine how you aim with your ball guideline, obviously, so you're not aiming right side of the hole or left side of the hole or short or long, so that's going to be very important. Hole number 6 is the toughest of the 9 dreaded dunes holes, or Jamel Dunes holes, and here we would have a lot of value from using a lot of power. Not maybe so much on the drive, but especially on the second shot, because we do want to reach to do a rough bump. What I'm doing here now is that I'm using all the topspin with my big topper. I'm adjusting max plus 10, pushing up to max, and then just playing a standard perfect ball shot. However though, if you do have the possibility, use a power 5 ball, then you can play with Extra Mile or the Thor's hammer or the Apocalypse, even though you have it in a low level. You can obviously keep the big topper as well, that's completely up to you. Second shot, we're going to do a rough bump. Here, using a power 5 ball would allow those of you that do have a sniper in at level 9 or 10 to be able to play with a sniper. For us that do not have the sniper in that level on our accounts, then we're going to have to play with the wood club that gives us the most power. And in this instance, this is the big dog. And what I'm looking for here is truly just to get the ball down towards the green area, or just for a simple wedge. As I'm adjusting into overpower, I have no ball guideline to follow. So if I would be dropping this one, it would be super lucky, really. So in the end, we're getting the ball to green. I'm taking my eagle and moving on. But as I've explained, having good clubs, having a good ball will open up a chance for an albatross here. But having not the possibility to play with good balls, or you have intermediate and low level clubs, or low level clubs, then you should most likely just settle for an eagle and move on. On hole number 4, the drive. If we do have a headwind, we are going to get ourselves up the fairway and to focus on getting a rough bump on the second shot. If I would be having a tailwind here, I would actually use my quarterback and bounce over to the fairway on the very left. This to give us a short iron from there, or just a wedge towards the pin. 4.5 bar topspin, 2 left spin. I'm aiming straight forward there and getting the ball to bounce and to bounce and to roll, and now we're going to have a long iron towards the pin. You don't have to play with a Titan here. I somewhat got rushed in the end. I would play with maximum a katana or something like that. A power 2 ball is what I'm trying to say on the drive, because there's no point spending any power 3 balls here, especially when we are not close to going into overpower. Second shot here, we're going to do a rough bump, and we're gonna do that with our long iron, especially when we do have a headwind of tee. We won't reach as far as we would like to play with our short iron. Here, I would say the tricky part is to actually know, should I aim at the hole? Should I aim short of the hole? Should I aim through the hole with my long iron? Because it all depends on what type of ball guideline you have. The Goliath level 6 here is going to come in a little bit hot. I should have left it a little bit short because, again, I'm not having a fully developed ball guideline. And stuff like that is super important to have in mind when it comes to regular bounce-up shots and also rough bumps like this. You can see we come in fairly hot, and we are lucky that the pin stands there, or we wouldn't have dropped it. In the end, we're playing 5% elevation on the second shot, and true club distance. It's going to be close to minimum distance here if you're playing with a long iron. No matter what club you're playing with, no matter what ball you're playing with, this rough bump is a very good chance. Hole number 5. Here we are going to set up for doing a rough bump. And I know you might be tired of me talking about rough bumps all the time, but especially these par 3s here of the Wiseacre, the rough bumps is so superior, more or less any other route that can be played, because it somewhat allows us to minimize the wind effect after the first bounce. Adjustment 1-to-1 using 0.3 topspin, and looking at it in the end, we would need a couple of extra decimals to get this one to drop. But it comes in with a nice speed, we're hitting the rough in a nice way, so there is in the end no risk for great balls here, and we are giving ourselves a look for the hole-in-one. I mean, 0.2 more decimals would be making that one go in the hole, but I will take it, and it's not going to go in every time, but it's a good chance. On the drive here, when having a wind coming right to left, that's honestly the worst thing you can have, because that means that you do have a headwind towards the pin on the second shot, as the whole hole here is going straight up and then right. Adjust max plus 10 here of tee. I'm using all the top spin that I can, and I'm also using the 2 bars of right spin. The goal here is to bounce over the rough and roll ourselves nicely down the fairway. The further down the fairway we are, the better it's going to be. And obviously the more right we can go, the better it's going to be too. So if you do have more topspin to use more topspin. Allow yourself to push yourself more right, and have a much easier time to reach the green on the second shot. On the second shot on hole number 6, now we're just gonna play ourselves down towards the green, and here we do have a situation where we definitely can use the power 5 ball in our favor. So we're using all the right spin that we can, which is 2 bars, and using a little bit of backspin too. I'm moving myself way more left than what is needed really. You can go more bang on, but moving myself more left allow me to use the curl and get around the rough and give myself much more room for error. Now I hit a very bad grade right, and I end up for a wedge towards the pin, but that's still a very short and simple wedge to lock in the eagle. Hole 6 for me, regardless what wind direction you have, is to get ourselves an eagle and to be done with it. Hole number 7, I think, is a very interesting par 3 because it offers so many different type of way of playing. Like you can play from the right, you can play from the left, you can play a rough bump, or like on the left, you can play a rough bump just before the green. I mean, there are so many different ways of playing, and I'm not saying anything is actually better than the other because in my book, it's wind dependent. So depending on what wind angle you have is where you then should choose to play. Like if wind is right to left, then playing from the right is in play. But if you're playing, if any wind, you can play from the left hand side. And if you're gonna play a rough bump, I would only recommend to do that in a direct crosswind. The reason for that is obviously if you do have a tailwind or a headwind, it might just make the ball fly longer or shorter. It might miss the rough. That's not something we want to do. Now, I mean, the video is not superb in terms of getting a hole in one, but we're getting close to pin, playing at medium distance plus 10 using a quasar ball here. But again, this is par 3 that is very interesting as it once again offers a lot of opportunities. For hole number 8, for those of you that do have big boy clubs, which is, you know, the Apocalypse level 5 plus, or maybe an extra mile level 8 plus and stuff like that, then we're going to send it and try to get to green in tailwind. Other than that, we're going to try to get the ball as far up the fairway possible. I'm using the big topper here in tailwind. If I would be having a crosswind or a headwind, I would be sticking with the extra mile or Thor's Hammer or Apocalypse, whatever club that do give me the most topspin, because the topspin has tons of value here, because the closer we are to the green, the easier the second shot will be, as we will then be playing with a short iron from around medium distance instead of maximum distance. Second shot is going to be played here with our thorn. Here you're checking where max club is and you're checking where minimum club is. That's the ultimate way of doing so if you do not have any directives from someone else, like meaning if you have a guide or you have old notes or something like that. I'm playing with no spin, ball guideline to be short of hole, as I do not have a fully developed ball guideline on my thorn. So that is very important. We are using 10% elevation, once again true club distance. So it is once again ultimately important that you do stretch out to max and you go back to min to check in what percentage your club stands to make the best possible guess. Now I'm making a guess, I'm getting my eagle, and I'm happy. Hole number 9, I see a lot of value in playing with the quarterback, even though I do not have it in a high level. Using 3 topspin and 3 right spin, playing with a kingmaker, as we do want to have the side spin to push the ball right. The fact is that this fairway here slopes pretty heavily right to left once you get past the bunker that is on the right hand side. All the curl to the right, adjusting max snow elevation, and you can see here now that how much it slopes right to left, and if we would be playing close to the rough line on the left hand side, we will most likely fall into the rough. 322 yards, that's perfect. That's going to leave us to play either a long iron from max if we do have a tailwind. If we do have a crosswind or a headwind, it's going to be played with a sniper. And the reason the sniper is a beautiful club here is due to its ball guideline. We're doing an aggressive rough bump, which might not be for everyone, but I have to say this is a shot that do have a lot of room for error, especially if you do have a crosswind. You can hit great left and great right, and as the wind will not push you further up or further back, then you will still hit the rough. 25% elevation, true club distance, which is going to be somewhere between minimum distance to medium distance, hits the rough, rolls up onto the green, and we're getting to drop lovely for an albatross from distance. Hole number 7 opens up for many different possibilities. If you do have superior clubs, now I'm talking about Apocalypse level 5 plus, where you do have the 240 yard power and have the possibility to play with a power 5 ball. You can actually reach to green here fairly easy if you do have a tailwind by going, you could see there, going more right and going over all the rough, bouncing on the fairway, over the water and onto the green. So But if you do have intermediate clubs or just low level clubs, then this is the better way of playing it, because then you won't really take any risks, because you will take a big risk if you having bad clubs and trying to get over the water, then you definitely risk going into the water, and then what's the point? So we lay up nicely. I'm playing with a Titan ball here to make sure that I can play over the rough patch in a crosswind without giving myself any risk of needing to use overpower. On the second shot here on hole number 7, we are using the sniper, and you can see there that we're close to minimum distance. And as we're having a tailwind, make sure to not end up with your aim point too close to the min line, because then you will pull into long iron, and what's going to happen there is that it's going to be a complete mess. No spin whatsoever, leaving the ball guideline just slightly short is to compensate for the extended ball guideline we will have when we do have a tailwind. Even though it's not a big tailwind, it will still be enough for the ball to roll too fast if we aim directly at the hole. Center the ball, hit perfect, and we will be seeing ourselves having a good chance here on hole number 7. When the camera turns around like that, it most definitely will be close dead center, and I will take it for the eagle. On hole number 8, we are going to play with our sniper, and we're gonna play into this little sticky spot there that is on the very left hand side. You can see here that I'm looking around a little bit to try to find the sticky spot, but I would say in this instance we are needed to be a little bit more left than intended. So in the end I'm sticking to using the 2 right spin and a little bit of backspin to get the ball guideline through the hole with my sniper. Adjustment here now is going to be medium distance with a 20% over adjustment. Center the ball and hit perfect, and you will have a good chance of dropping this one for an hole-in-one. The good part with the par 3s in general is that it opens up for rough bumps. A rough bump is by far the easiest way of dropping an hole-in-one, and especially on the Wiseacre with a flat green and a flat fairway before that, it makes it even easier in my opinion. Nice little hole-in-one on hole number 8. On the drive here on hole number 9, we do recommend to play with a club that do have a lot of topspin. The big topper is my favorite in those type of situations, because we don't really need much power here, because we can't really go over the rough and the sand with headwind there on the right side anyway. So I'm using all the topspin that I can on my big topper and making an adjustment of maximum distance plus 10, half a ball of right curl, and doing my very best to get this ball to roll as far as possible. See, we bounce on the fairway nicely, we're getting it down, and now we do have a situation where we're just going to lock in the eagle. For hole number 9, we are just going to play ourselves up towards the green, or to be just close to green, to just lock in the eagle. I do not see any point of pushing too hard here, because what's gonna happen then, that is that you do risk to go into the rough or into the sand, and then we're all gonna be sad about that, because that could potentially cost us getting the eagle. This is a tough par 5, don't think anything else. So going away with an eagle here is definitely not something that everyone will be doing. So we're bouncing on the fairway, getting the ball up towards the green, and now you see here, now we do have a putt for an eagle. Sure, if we have a little luck and make the correct call, we might give ourselves a situation where we drop an albatross, but that's going to be very rare. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division, here with various wins, giving you my best advice on how to attack and these holes that we are playing. You can find more free content on our website golfclashtommy.com, but if you are a player that are looking for premium content, then you should go to patreon.com/golfclashtommy to check out our premium guide for tournament, tour play, and checkpoint challenge. You can see for yourself there how much that will improve your game and make you a better player, because that's what it's all about. I want you to enjoy the game even more, and that you can do together with our premium guides. Sign up, try for yourself, and see how that will help you out. Again, link in the description down below, or you scan the QR code to go to the platform. Thank you once again for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.